Subject has been, I've been thinking about it a lot. It's been really hard for me because thinking about the first day of school. I'm in AB Tech right now. It's my first time in any kind of school. The reason why it's hard for me, one of the things one of the teachers will say in class, all my classes, this has come up. Well, remember when you were in high school? Remember when you were in kindergarten? Remember when first grade, second grade? And I'm like, no, I don't. I don't remember any of that. And what happens for me every time that a teacher says that is this great separation. I feel separate from everyone else. The way I grew up was my mom, who was extremely well educated. She grew up in Europe, spent time at really nice schools, came back to the States, and then fled her parents. She didn't want to have anything to do with them. She told my sister and I that education was the man, and the man was going to get you down, and don't buy into the man. So thinking about this subject is always really emotional for me, and I'm really always surprised. I'm like, why does this affect me so much? And it's because it makes me feel so separate. So when I'm in college, I'm at AB Tech, and I'm there with the professors, and they're saying that, every time that comes up, I'm like, wow, that's really intense. So to kind of give you an idea of why this is so intense for me, such a struggle, kind of tell a story about how the kind of schooling that I did get, how it would happen to us. I'm going to use one example, but this was a reoccurring event. Another thing that I realized about why it's so emotional for me is that a lot of times it would be a surprise for my sister and I. Okay, so I'm 5 years old. 6, maybe my sister is 3, 4. She's 2 years younger than me. We're home by ourselves in Denver, Colorado, in a neighborhood called Lakewood, in a little pink house on a really busy road. It would be one of the few houses that we ever had in childhood. Most of the rest of our dwellings would be teepees, yurts. It would be one of the few times in our life, in our half my life, that we'd have running water, power, electricity, or tasty food. So we're there by ourselves because my mom has one of the few jobs that she's going to have in her life. She's working at a pet store. It's about 20 minutes away, but when you're poor and you're a single mother and you live in the city and you got to catch the bus to take care of your kids, somehow 20 minutes turns into 40 minutes. No cell phones, and she's lucky to have the job, at least from her employer's perspective. So when she's gone, we don't get to call her up, talk to her, or anything. We don't know what's going on. So we're at our home by ourselves, my sister and I, and there's a knock on the door. And we're like, well, who's that? So we would know what we're not supposed to do. But things like this happen a lot in our life, so we're like, okay, so I open the door, and it's this guy. And behind him is this other guy, and there's this big moving truck out in the parking lot. He's like, we're here to move you. What? He's like, we're here to move you. Mom Sue, we talked about it, she's expecting us. Well, she's at work. Well, we know, we worked all that out. But my mom neglected to tell us that. Part of her running from different communities and different places is just that. She's running. She always seems to be running from somewhere. And I guess she figured the less we knew, the better. So my sister and I were like, we didn't even really think about it. Okay, so the guys came in. They loaded up what little we had, put us in the truck. Mom's going to meet us there. So it's like being kidnapped with all your stuff. So put it in the truck, and we drive, I don't know, 30, 40 minutes away, and we end up in these 2 huge houses. It's 2 houses, one on each side of the street, in a Denver neighborhood, and it's called the Farmhouse. So if any of you are familiar with the farm, Stephen Gaskin, midwives, all kinds of stuff, culture came out of it. So this was their outpost in Denver, Colorado. So they bring us inside, and we know where Mom is, but we're in awe. These houses are huge, they're giant. And we understand, they tell us, well, it's a school. You're going to go to school in the morning. Now, I had never gone to school. My mother had always lied and tried to keep us out of any kind of school. No authorities, no men, no man. was going to get us or have access to us or change us or corrupt us or do anything like that, which was any kind of education. So this was a school, so this was different. So we were like, oh, this is what school's like? 2 huge houses filled with all these people, and they're going to take care of us and move us around and unload us, and they bring us upstairs, and there's other kids, and we're like, wow, this is all right, this is cool. So Mom shows up, and we spend about 6 months there, and then she informs us that we're going to move to the farm in Tennessee. Now we don't really have any stuff. Because the farm, when you move on to the farm, it's a collective, they end up owning everything, you end up pretty much have just what you have. And I don't really remember how we got from the farmhouse in Denver to the farm in Tennessee. But we get to the farm in Tennessee, and now there's really a school. There's this huge school, it looks like a public school. So we're thrilled about this. But what we kind of don't know is, so the farm, there's no meat of any kind, but there's cows in the fields. No butter, but there's lots of margarine. White sugar, soybeans, which are feed-grade soybeans. The farm then to feed all of their people, they bought feed-grade soybeans. So a classic meal would be just that. Soybeans, nutritional yeast. If you were lucky, you had soy sauce. Sometimes there was tempeh. If you were really, really lucky, you got tofu. Oh my God, tofu. And if you were extremely lucky and you waited in a big long line on a Sunday, you would get soy ice cream. That was like the top. So all this time wanting to be in a school, wondering what school was like, never having gone to a school. The irony for the year and a half that we spent on the farm is I don't remember school at all. All I remember is soy. Soy, everything. It used to be that if you mentioned soy, I would have to literally not throw up. And then the other thing was that the farm was really big in supporting other people. So in Guatemala, the farm was sending people there. We were buying fresh fruit for people in Guatemala, delivering them food, but on the farm there was none of that. It was butter, or margarine, white sugar, soybeans. So anyway, so when I'm in class on campus, and one of the professors, one of the teachers says, remember this, that's what happens. I think soybeans. I think, no, I don't remember that. I think soybeans. And it makes me feel so separate. It makes me, and then people are like, well, this is great, you gotta try this tempeh. It's a really weird divide to have to feel that disconnect, and it used to really it still affects me a lot. I'm always surprised how hard it is to talk about for me, but it's getting better, and I'm starting to understand some of the things that I did get out of it, and so when I apply for a restaurant, I say vegetarian cook. That was my education.